this afternoon. As you are aware, we have filed today a motion with the Marion Criminal Court to appoint a special prosecutor into any investigations conducted regarding Attorney General Curtis Hill. Just like to make 3 points, and then I'm happy to answer any questions. First of all, the only information I have regarding the allegations against the Attorney General is the same as you. The only thing that I'm aware of is press reports. There's never been any sort of substantive information presented to our office for review. Secondly, I wanted to explain and clarify why it is necessary for our office to seek a special prosecutor. There has been a significant amount of misinformation, incorrect information about the need for a special prosecutor in this matter as it relates to myself and the Marion County Prosecutor's Office. Quite simply, I am a client of the Attorney General's Office. By law, by statute, I would emphasize, by law, the Attorney General is required to represent any prosecutor who has been sued in a civil action. Unfortunately, that occurs from time to time, and in fact, the Attorney General represents us in 2 high-profile matters at this time. Number one, the Attorney General represents us in a lawsuit challenging the constitutionality of the Indiana Civil Forfeiture Statute. That matter was resolved in our favor at the trial court, but is now pending before the Indiana Supreme Court. Secondly, the Indiana Attorney General represents us in a suit filed by Planned Parenthood challenging the most recent abortion-related bill passed by the 2018 legislature. So again, we are a client of the Attorney General's office, and it would be entirely inappropriate for our office then to turn around and participate in a criminal investigation of the Attorney General. When the information came to light last week, I had no doubt whatsoever that we could not be involved in any criminal investigation. I conferred with others in our office who agreed. I conferred with the Indiana Prosecuting Attorneys Council, who agreed that it would be inappropriate for us to serve in that capacity. And most importantly, the Marion County Criminal Court agreed today by entering an order that it would appoint a special prosecutor. A special prosecutor has not been appointed at this time. I anticipate that as soon as that has been done by the court, that we will be advised, and we will share that information as soon as we have that information. Lastly, the only other step I have taken related to this matter is I have facilitated contact between the Inspector General's office and Sex Crimes Unit of Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department should the Inspector General seek the assistance of IMPD in her investigation. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Terry, with respect to a special prosecutor, could you give us some idea as to what type of individual could be appointed? Would be a prosecutor in another county, and would they face possibly the same conflicts as the Attorney General does, like you said, represent prosecutors in civil litigation?
Yeah, you're exactly right, and by statute, obviously the Attorney General will be required to represent any elected prosecutor in the state of Indiana. I don't think that's an issue that's ever been addressed as to whether a prosecutor perhaps is not involved in civil litigation at this point could do so. Clearly that is to be sorted out by the court. Even if that were determined to be the case, the Indiana Prosecuting Attorneys Council maintains a panel of senior prosecutors who are either a retired elected prosecutor or a chief deputy who I do not believe would then be precluded for that reason.
From what you've heard about the case, do you see any crimes?
I certainly can't speak to that. And,
but if you're recusing yourself, why not?
Because that would be thoroughly inappropriate under the rules of professional conduct to do that.
Does it hinge on a complaint having been filed?
Well, at this point, what I can confirm is that the matter has been referred to the Inspector General, who by statute has the authority to investigate matters arising out of state government and state employees. Obviously the Inspector General has the authority to undertake a criminal investigation.
Was a complaint filed with your office?
No.
Terry, there's been some question as to whether the Inspector General could do this, seeing how the governor and other folks have called for the Attorney General to resign, step down prior to turning things over to the Inspector General. Do you worry about that timeline of that being an issue as you folks go forward, or the Special Prosecutor goes forward and gathers whatever evidence wherever this may lead?
Certainly that's not our decision. The Inspector General, as I said, can confirm will undertake an investigation, and whether a person who's suspected of a crime can dictate who does the investigation, clearly that is not the case.
Is it appropriate or more appropriate for the Inspector General to be doing this criminal investigation, or like you said, the Sex Crime Unit of the IMPD?
Well, again, whether it's appropriate or inappropriate, the Inspector General has that authority by the statute creating that office, and that's where the matter has been referred. As I said, I have facilitated contact with IMPD should the Inspector General want to utilize their expertise in going forward with her investigation.
At this point, there's been no police investigation with IMPD or ISP that you're aware of?
I'm not aware of any. I'm certain there's not any such investigation at this point.
Do you see any due process issues with the initial investigation that was conducted?
Due process only applies to a criminal proceeding or has taken someone's property. Whatever has occurred up to this point, in my mind, does not implicate any sort of due process considerations.
What do you make of this with a fellow elected official whose job it is to enforce the law having these accusations brought against him?
I don't have any observation regarding the substance of the allegations. I guess my only observation is that Attorney General Hill is correct as it relates to a criminal matter, and that is he's presumed innocent until proven guilty. At this point, the process will have to play out to determine whether anyone's committed a crime here or not.
As a political matter, you're an elected official. Should Curtis Hill resign his office?
That's not my decision or anything that's appropriate for me to weigh in on.
Can you outline the possible criminal charges that are out there on sexual battery and whether it's felony or misdemeanor?
Well, I can tell you what penalties are for battery. Battery, in context of misdemeanor, be misdemeanor, I believe. And if it rises to the level of sexual battery, I think it's a level 5 felony. But the difference would be whether there was sexual intent involved in a touching.
Can you explain the role as of today of the special prosecutor? Is it to assist the Inspector General, or at what point would the special prosecutor begin their own investigation?
Yeah, and the prosecutor is really not an investigative agency, and so it's I just put it in the context of what we do every single day, and that is whether it's a drug case or a gun case or a sex crime, the officers investigating are conferring with us. If they need a search warrant, we'll write a search warrant, that sort of thing. And then the ultimate charging decision is our decision, the prosecutor's office, as to whether we believe a crime has been committed. And I would anticipate that will be the role as well as a special prosecutor. Should the Inspector General wish to confer with the special prosecutor, exchange thoughts, that would be the normal course in any criminal investigation. And then the ultimate charging decision would be up to the special prosecutor. And if it were determined that a crime has been committed, that special prosecutor would also prosecute the case to conclusion.
So basically in this case, you have the IG acting as the police agency and the special prosecutor acting as...
Yeah, and the IG has criminal investigators who are employed by her office.
So the charging decisions from the special prosecutor would be based on the Inspector General's report?
Yes, that would be correct.
And you mentioned that you facilitated contact or communication between IMPD's Sex Crimes Unit and the IG. Was that at the IG's request, or at what? I mean, are they working together on this case, or what?
Well, I can't speak to that. I had reached out to the Inspector General to let her know that we would be filing the request for a special prosecutor. She had contacted me actually last Tuesday when the press reports, and I immediately informed her that I anticipated that if it rose to the level of criminal investigation that we could not be involved for all the reasons I just explained. Then followed up this week and let her know that we would be filing the motion and when, then offered that I could put her in contact with IMPD sex crimes, and not to get into too much substance, but she had anticipated exactly the same thing, that's something that she would want to do. So.
What was she asking about when she first contacted you last Tuesday?
Again, not to go into too much of the conversation, but essentially it was just that if this matter, there's press reports, obviously, that we're all aware of, if this would rise to a matter of a criminal investigation, what would our role be? And I immediately told her what I've told you today is, the Attorney General's office represents us. I don't think there's any possible way we could be involved, and just left it that we'd get back in touch if it became apparent there was going to be a criminal investigation, and that would be necessary for us to file that motion, because obviously Marion County would be jurisdiction for that.
Do you have any idea how long it might take to pick a special prosecutor?
I would anticipate that it won't take very long at all, but whether it's this week or next week, I don't know. We met with the judge today, obviously, to present our motion, and I know that she anticipates following up promptly. She's finishing up a jury trial, and so, I do not know. Clearly, there's at least a couple of steps, because what has to happen is you have to identify someone, that person has to be notified, and then that person actually has to accept the appointment as well.
But it would be fair to say you would expect that within the next 30 days?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, absolutely. No question. Thank you.
What do you make of Senator Young's comments earlier about the questioning why your office hasn't investigated yet?
That was shared with me that Senator Young had made those comments. That reflects a fundamental misunderstanding of the respective roles of a prosecutor and a police agency, and certainly no one, whether it's a suspect of a crime or someone in the public, can dictate what a police agency or prosecutor's office should undertake. Okay. Thank you.